Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Supermom School podcast. I am so excited today to introduce to you a very special guest. Gretchen Gegg, who is a friend of mine and fellow coach, is on with me today. She is a life coach and a fitness educator with a passion to help people overcome their struggles with diet and exercise. I know you're also, Gretchen, a mom, and you're in the same coaching program that I've been through as well. And so I am just delighted to have you on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so good to have you. So I know you talk about being a body freedom coach. That's probably the first thing that I'm like, do you get questions about what is a
Oh, yes,
body freedom coach? Can you tell us about that?
absolutely. Body freedom is something that you hear thrown around a little bit, but it's not as prevalent as something like body positivity or even body neutrality, which I'll give a little insight onto that. But what body freedom really is the freedom to move into the space of health and fitness without the body being like your primary motivator, I guess would be how I would put
Hmm.
it. And what I like to introduce my clients, or I also educate people who are fitness professionals or medical professionals on how to coach body freedom. I
Gotcha.
introduce them to this concept of a spectrum. We're all familiar with how spectrums work. We're just up and down. We lean one way, we lean the other way. But on this body freedom spectrum, on one far end, you would have body positivity, which I think we've all heard. Maybe like it's been something that's driven us crazy, like love your body all the time, yay, 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 which we know can't actually happen. I don't know one person in the world who wakes up every day and I love my body. It's just not normal, especially as women who have hormonal changes going up and down. I might wake up bloated and gross and not feeling good
Right.
one day. I want to have permission not to love my body, but still be able to just move in a way that makes me healthy. And at this
Hmm.
far end, we have body shame. We
Hmm.
also don't want to live there. We don't want to wake up every day hating our body. So, something that has been kind of pushed lately, I guess you would say, the agenda of body neutrality. I have a body, which is great. And I really loved that for a while. However, we should still be okay with saying we love our body or saying we're like not in a good place with our body and be able to be fluid up and down this idea of just, you know what, I have this body. And sometimes I really love how it looks. My biceps look great. Like I worked on my arms. I want to appreciate that. And some days, like I just want to have like a sweatpant t shirt day and be okay with that. So the freedom comes in terms of what if we're just free to have this body that does weird things? We can love it one day, we can not love it one day, but we're constantly pursuing that idea of doing the best thing we can for this shell that we have to live in. And it
Hmm.
also helps impact the mindset that's incorporated in these concepts of body positivity, body shame, body neutrality.
I
That was
love
long
that.
winded.
No, I love that. I love how I love what you're talking about, this idea of being able to take action from a place of love, but not necessarily like we're all good today. And that resonates so much with being a mom. And like you're just talking about the hormone changes, but I remember like pregnancy and clothes not fitting and having every size in the closet from an 8 to a 20.
Oh my
And,
gosh, yes.
like, and on any given day, one thing
Right.
will fit and then it won't fit the next, and there's so much. It's a gift, right, that our bodies can do that, but it does leave us feeling a little bit like it can be difficult to get into a groove of like, yes, I can
Mhm.
expect my body to show up and do what I think it's supposed to do that day or whatever. I love the idea of being able to just step forward and experience movement and freedom regardless of where it is. That's so powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole, body positivity has done a lot for women. It really has. I don't want to discredit that. But it's
Sure.
almost to the point now like I have to love this body that doesn't feel like mine. I think about postpartum and we say
Yes.
postpartum is people think postpartum is like the first year. I see all these pictures of women trying to bounce back. I'm like, bounce back to what? You've got a kid now. Good, good luck, right? Like our life is never the same. And I see them doing this. I'm like, we postpartum, one thing I deal with women is pelvic floor issues. I
Yeah.
have women coming to me in their 60s. They had kids in their 20s, but they still have a postpartum pelvic floor because it was never dealt with. So giving ourselves that grace to be even in the world of postpartum, right? Hey,
Yeah.
there's no box. There's no box. There's no limit. Some of us, and then you talk about like breastfeeding,
Hmm.
some people breastfeed for a very long time and then that's going to change hormones again. So, yeah, it's all over the place, especially for women and especially for moms.
Yeah. So I'm curious, I want to jump into a little bit different side of this. How did, I know you're a mom. I know you have, you've taught at college before, right? Like,
Yes,
so
I was a professor
how
for like 10
you're
years.
professor for 10 years. Yeah. So, and how many kids do you have?
I have two.
Two. Okay. So how did you get into this field from where you were before?
Yeah. So, like I said, I have two kids, but when I was pregnant with my first kid and I went all the way through like grad school, I was dead set on this, what I want to do. I want to be educating fitness people. That's where the fitness education side of me is, like teaching people
Okay.
how to be better in that world. And so I was a professor for health and kinesiology at major research university. And I was planning to go down the path that I was seeing all my colleagues go down, which was we have our kid, we have a super nice daycare that we can afford because we're paid well, and then we go back to work, and this is just what we do. And then I had that baby. And I really, I wish I could have been that person. Part of me is like, I really like the things that they're doing are so powerful and they're strong in their own right, but it all of a sudden just didn't gel with my personality
Hmm.
and the way I felt. And like, I was taking her to daycare, my oldest, and then crying and like trying to like depuff my eyes to go teach a class, and then trying to time my last class so I could pick her up before nap time. Because if I waited till nap time and I couldn't pick her up, well, then I was going to guilt shop at Target and spend $300.
Hmm.
It was just this overwhelm of emotions. And that was actually when I discovered life coaching.
Okay.
I got a coach at that point. This was before even the organization we were certified through before that had
Sure.
even
Yeah.
started. And I discovered life coaching, and at that point they asked kind of the hard questions, and I realized I didn't have to do it the way everybody else had done it. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what it was going to be, and I just quit my job, which was kind of crazy, and I know that not everyone has the ability to be that bold. I was very lucky that I have a husband as well who's working full time. So I want to be very clear that I had a little more freedom to make this bold decision. Um, and that just, I'm a worker. I love to work. I'm passionate about helping others. So it kind of shoved me into this other side of, okay, well, what now? You're home, you still want to help others. And I speak to a silver lining of COVID here that the world shifted to virtual right about the time I was there and established, and
Mm.
to the point where the news, this is so silly now as we talk about this, but the news came out and did a story on me
Oh,
because I was
wow.
teaching fitness from my garage and I had a virtual fitness platform. And now look, everyone else does. But that was in the first, 2, 3 months
But it
of
was the new thing at the moment
right. It was,
of
and so
how to do this. Yeah.
yeah, so that actually really helped bring people to realize, oh, I can do this on my own, but I'm going to need a little help. And how do I get that? So I was right at the edge of that. And that was a beautiful thing for me. And now my business is still strong. And it's really challenged our belief in what, I mean, we know mental health has taken a hit. So
Yeah.
has physical health. But for a lot of people, it's challenged their belief and they're coming out on top at this point, being kind of faced with
Mhm.
that reality.
Yeah. Wow. What a great transition and a great story, and just the ability to help people through that, and ultimately, the glory to God for aligning
Absolutely.
all those things together. That's so amazing.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, as you are the body freedom coach, what does that look like for you in a day-to-day life with your own family? With like, what do you do to really embody that yourself?
So one thing I do is I
Okay, so sorry for the interruption, but tell us, what is it that you do to sort of embody these ideas in your own home?
yeah, I'm very careful with my language. So I said I had one girl. I have two girls now, and I think that more than, I mean, they watch what we do, they watch what we put in our mouths and all of that, but they also watch how we speak and how we talk.
Mm,
And so I've done the best job I know how. I never claim perfection, right? Plugging into the right resources and learning more and more about how my words impact my children.
mm,
I try to speak good things about my body. Not necessarily, oh, I love my body so much, it's awesome, but almost falling into that body neutrality thing. These
mhm,
are pants. Pants are for my legs. You know, for them, for their bodies, when they talk about even clothes, making them beautiful, that kind of thing, we reframe it a little bit. We talk about our body's capabilities versus bigger, smaller. Just little things like that, I think, are important for me with my kids. And of course, what I do, trying to stay active with them, let them see me moving in natural ways too.
yeah,
Is in the fitness industry, I've seen, moms have a tendency to their kids see them working out, which is great. But I also want them to see me playing. I want them to see me like walking around. I want them to see me parking far away and taking those. So that my kids have become a really big reason
mm,
for my embodiment of that body freedom concept. So I do more for them, honestly. And this is every mom in the world. I do more for them than for me. I'm still a work in progress. I feel like most of my work is on my mindset around my body because being
sure.
in the fitness industry for so long, it's so challenging. But they've made me step up my game.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you're not the first person that I've heard talk about that our kids are such a powerful motivator for why we do what we do. Wanting, yeah, I'm sure you can relate to this idea of, I want to treat my body today in a way that makes it so that when I have grandkids, that I can keep up with them, that I can run around with them or play with them in the yard, that I'm not thinking, oh, am I going to be able to make it if we walk through that park all day long? That just won't be a factor in the decision. Of course we can go. Of course I'll jump with you. Of course we'll, yeah, those are such motivators for making the decisions that we make today. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't know how many of your listeners are older moms, but I think that's been especially impactful for me because, my husband and I were very much in academia. So
Hmm.
I had one kid at 36, one at 39. So I'm a little bit on the older end of motherhood. If you ask like the OB charts, I think I'm a
Sure.
geriatric pregnancy or something ridiculous.
This is
But I mean,
hilarious.
it's so funny because I'm in the same breath. She's like, "Oh, you're one of the healthiest moms." Then take it off my chart.
Right.
But I mean, it's what it is. But I think that exactly they're thinking, you do the thing where you calculate your age. Don't ever do that as an older mom. Just don't, because we have all these assumptions that go into aging. But it is a driving force for me putting the things I want to put into my mouth, moving my body the way I want to move it,
Yeah.
picking fitness that I love and is long term, not
Hmm.
necessarily running a marathon because I heard it was a good way to lose weight or something.
Yeah. I love that phrase, picking fitness that you love and that is long term. That
Totally.
it's we're playing the long game here. We're not playing a 3 month power through, get done, and yeah, it's the long game.
Yeah.
What can
And
I do? Yeah.
yeah, it goes along with what one of the things I know you teach the same thing, or we believe as life coaches, is it's not just having a goal,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's having that vision. And I think motherhood does that for you. It expands your vision all of a sudden. And yeah, it's something that you will absolutely do no matter what because it's going to get you closer to that vision versus finishing the race or
Yeah.
finishing the program or whatever it is.
Right. Absolutely. So let me ask you a different question. I know you've mentioned the language, like watching what you say, is so important to not only be in the right mindset around body freedom, but also be stewarding our words with our kids around. But and then the movement, right? Looking for, I think you use active movement, right? Not just in a workout, but looking for other ways. Is there anything else that you feel like is a key strategy for moms out there that are trying to figure out how do I do this well? How do I steward my body, or how do I steward this fitness and health area of my life really well? What else would you say?
Yeah, so whenever we look at physical health, we always take into account four components,
Okay.
and they have to be addressed in equal measure. It's just kind of fact of the matter. But unfortunately, with culture the way it is, we usually just see the first two pillars, which is diet and exercise. And then there's also battles between which one's more important. Well, I'm here to tell you they're both equally important. um, the cool thing about addressing nutrition and diet as a woman, again, back to moms, is we can do some specific eating for hormones that will make a massive impact on our body.
Mm,
We don't have the time to go into that today, but
sure.
there's some really, really cool things that we can do there. And then physical activity, pick what you love and what you'll do, bottom line. And then you've got these two other pillars that people don't like to talk about because they're harder to deal with. One is stress, and it's labeled that's kind of the official thing. But I would say it's what you believe about stress, because
Mm,
stress itself is not bad for you unless you
right.
believe that stress is bad for you. If you believe that stress is bad for you, you could potentially die of stress related causes. If you don't believe that stress is bad for you and you see it as something that motivates you and pushes you to succeed, then stress is there. And that this is where I think life coaching is a huge part of people's journey. Like, that's when I said I discovered it.
Yeah.
It was that piece, the stress, the mindset. So monitoring our stress and our beliefs about it. And then the fourth one, and every mother in the world is going to roll their eyes, but please hear me out, is sleep.
Oh my goodness.
I
Yes.
know.
You
Sleep
won't
is
see me eye
so,
rolling.
we all say it's so hard to get, but I want to challenge your belief on that, because if you're like me, if I'm sleeping the same amount of time my kids are sleeping, it's more sleep than I need, because we need
True.
7 to 9 hours as adults,
Yeah.
and that would depend. I'm closer to the like 7.5 end. I just know that about myself. I'll naturally wake up. Some people are closer to the 9 end. Kids in general, especially like I have a 5 and 2-year-old, their sleep is up in the 10, 11 hour mark that they need. They need a lot of sleep. So if I'm sleeping it when they're sleeping, I'm getting enough sleep. But what we do as moms, as parents, they go to sleep. We do all those things that we couldn't do during the day.
Great.
And then we lay in bed and we watch our favorite show. So we're consolidating our sleep in a different way. So it's not that you don't want to stay up and do the things, but just really constantly challenge your belief about what you are doing and why you're doing it. Why are you watching the show when your eyes are half asleep? What's the real reason? And as you start to make those little modifications and up your sleep hygiene, meaning having it at a comfortable temperature, having a dark room, maybe diffusing a pleasant scent, having those triggers, when this happens and this happens, then I go to sleep.
Mm.
You'll notice that sleep will not be as big of a problem as maybe you thought it was at first. So all my answers are very long-winded, Mary. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. It's exactly what we're talking about here. Like, I love getting into this practical nitty gritty.
It
Like,
is.
it really is the sleep. And I was, it wasn't until I think my youngest child was around maybe 5 or 6 where I wasn't consistently getting up at night, with my kids anymore, that I realized, oh my goodness, I have been basically sleep deprived for the last 10, 15 years of my life. And I had just gotten used to the fact that that's the way it was. so much so that I didn't even realize it anymore. I didn't realize how sleep deprived I was. It just, it took a while being out of it to see, oh my goodness, I can think so much better. And you're right. We stay up and we do all these things that we think need to be done, and we don't function well in that process. We don't make good decisions then. And my grandma always said, if you've got a long list of things to do, you get your nap in first. And it's so true, because then we think better, we process information better. So I'm a big fan of the get all the sleep that you need. Absolutely.
Can I just say, I love that you said it wasn't until your child was 5 or 6 and you weren't. I was like, yes, I totally agree because people will ask about a newborn. Of course, a newborn is not sleeping through the night. Why are you even
Right.
asking me that? Like, of course they're not. But then they hit about 2 and everyone just assumes you are getting all the sleep. I'm like, are you kidding? Do you
No,
know the amount of times and we like the house we bought is oh gosh, sorry. Sorry, that was loud.
that's
Is
okay.
like a split level. So we find ourselves all over the house, sometimes the parents in this kid's bed, sometimes the kids in our bed. So yes, thank you for just saying the 5 or 6 thing because that makes me feel
It's
very
so true.
validated in my still getting woken up in the middle of the
Yeah.
night all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sleepwalking, can't
Hmm.
go to the bathroom on their own. I had a child that potty trained, but he wasn't tall enough to pee in the toilet. And so you had to like get in there and like pick him up to,
Yeah.
he could go to the pot, like he knew to go to the potty, but he couldn't reach it.
Right.
So you got to, all these reasons why we have to get up in the middle of the night, and it does messes with our sleep cycle. So yeah, it's just, yeah, sleep is important. It really is.
It's
So I
so
love that you
important.
mentioned that.
Get it where you can get it. And, I recommend my clients, we have a whole printout of a sleep journal so that
Interesting.
they can look and pinpoint because we have to, it's a resource that we have to figure out where we're going to put it. Because it
Hmm.
might not be at night. It might be,
Right.
okay,
It
we're
might be
going
the
to
nap.
lay for the
Yeah.
2 p.m. nap. Can you lay down with your kid at nap time?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And your comment about stress being isn't necessarily a bad thing, I think is a I agree with you, but I think it's a very new or a very different perspective than what we've heard about stress being something that we can work with rather than needing to fight against, right? That stress can actually be working for us for our benefit, and we can believe that it has good consequences, right?
Right.
So I think I love the fact that that's included in these 4 pillars that you're talking about. So you said, so it's the diet and the exercise pillar, and then what you believe about stress and sort
Right.
of your mindset around that, and then sleep. Those were the
Yep.
4 that you mentioned,
Those are
right?
the big four, and they have to be addressed in equal measure. And I think that people can use that too as kind of a litmus test when they're plugging into different programs.
Mm,
Just look, okay, are they addressing these four? If not, switch to a program.
yeah.
Because
Switch to
if it,
something that is.
yeah,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't seem that it's like the perfect program or going to work for you, I mean, any program will work for you if you believe that it'll work for you. If you're the person that doesn't think a program will work for you, like check yourself. Just be
Right.
brutally honest, check yourself. But when you are kind of vetting these different programs, use that. What do they say about movement, fuel, stress, and sleep? Do they approach them all or not? And that just helps you make good decisions about where you invest your time and money too.
Yeah. That's a great tip for how to evaluate what am I going to do for my next, dietary plan or whatever.
Mhm.
Making sure that you find something that addresses all 4. That's amazing. Cool. So I know I have a couple of questions left for you as we're wrapping up here. Number one, I love to ask people that come on the show, what do you wish people were asking more about in this arena of body freedom? Like so that you
So
could tell them.
right. And I think that comes in what we just talked about. Like, I wish they were asking about more than just how can I lose weight?
Mm,
So maybe it's what I wish they weren't asking, but it's instead of just coming from how can I lose weight, it's like I wish they were asking me about their vision and how we can plug in these 4 pillars to make it happen versus
mm,
just how can I lose weight because that's never going to stick.
Yeah.
That's not a motivational tool, believe it or not.
Yeah, because you know ultimately that there's more going on. It's not just the losing weight that's really what's going on underneath. There's other motivators and there's other, yeah, that makes so much
And
sense.
then until we get to that, you won't be happy. You might feel better. You might look better. It might make you do things that are confidence based, but the true happiness does not lie in your relationship with gravity.
That's a great way to
And
put it.
there's a t-shirt quote for you.
There we go. Great t-shirt quote. Oh man. So then our final question that I wanted to just ask you is, I know that you mentioned before we got on that you had something to share with our listeners that's available to them. Can you share a little bit about what you have available?
Yeah, absolutely. So something and it mainly fits into the physical activity portion, but just to plug in and see if you have never found like physical activity that you love, or if you're kind of beginning this journey, or you don't really understand how these other pillars play in, especially the stress part of it.
Hmm,
I do have a 2 week free, it's called the Body Freedom Boot Camp. You get 12 workouts with me, and every single one of them has a component of stress reduction, some kind of meditation, some kind of physical activity. So while you might not get all four pillars, because again, it is, this the free boot camp, you get to see how the movement and stress link together
that's
in
cool.
a and it's not, yoga. We always think of go to yoga, which does work. That's fine. That's great. They address it, but you can take those same components and put it into any workout. And you
Awesome.
can just go to gretchengegg.com
Okay.
and click on Body Freedom Bootcamp, and that should get you right there.
That's
And I believe I
awesome.
sent you the link somewhere along the way.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we have the link in
Perfect.
the show notes so people who are listening can just go to the show notes and click
Yeah,
on that for
absolutely.
sure. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Of
offering that
course.
for the listeners today. I know I love the idea of being able to just sort of sample it, see what you think about how those go together. That's kind of a different concept than what a lot of other programs do. So that's a great opportunity for them. So they'll want to really snatch that up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it
Cool.
sticks around forever, so you won't lose the workout. So if
Oh,
you want to
great.
take a month to go through 12, that's fine. It's not going anywhere, and you get access to them for as long as you keep the link.
Yay. Well, thank you. Thank you so
Of
much for
course.
that. Well, Gretchen, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You are a super mom in your own right. I so appreciate you being in my life and in my community of coaches. I love the fact that we can support each other in all kinds of mindset ways as well as practical. And so thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing your wisdom with our listeners today. Appreciate you being here.
Of course. All right. Thank you.
All right.